and ethnic cleansing of the people of Gaza. Ceasefire now! Save the children of Gaza! Save the children of Gaza! Ceasefire now! Where is your pride, America?
As the death toll in Gaza reaches 9,000 killed by Israeli airstrikes, the Biden administration is still not saying the word ceasefire, and they are being dogged for that internationally by peace activists, both in DC and in London. That was a man being dragged out of a congressional hearing with Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who was making his case to Congress about why the administration needs more money for Israeli weapons. Also weapons to Ukraine, as well as the US-Mexico border. And that was the first interruption, and there were about 4 or 5 more. It was a very interesting hearing. Here's what happened after that man was dragged out.
Stop. Not in the face of an intensifying strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific and around the world.
If the witness will suspend, and I ask that everyone again respect.
Okay, so they got her out of there, and then this happened. From Palestine to Mexico, all walls have got to go is what they are chanting with painted hands, sort of symbolizing blood. The reason Mexico is relevant, again, is because the administration is asking for money for the US-Mexico border. Again, more money for militarism. But it wasn't just Antony Blinken. Joe Biden, the president himself, was over at a fundraiser in Minneapolis, and a rabbi stood up in the middle of his speech and said this.
Mr. President, if you care about Jewish people as a rabbi, I need you to call for a ceasefire right now.
Yes, if you care about Jewish people, I need you to call for a ceasefire. And then immediately when that word comes out, Ray, you heard the get out yelling. That was Rabbi Jessica Rosenberg. Before we kick it to you, look, it was international. Vice President Kamala Harris was in London meeting with PM Rishi Sunak, I'm sorry, and this is how she was greeted. Ugh, can't they just get a break? Okay. So this is not going anywhere, even though I think a lot of the news cycle wants to move on. People on the streets are not. Your thoughts?
Well, it's important that we, keep at it, and that these protesters continue to do this to make it as untenable as possible to hold the position. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, but we saw the first senator, the first Democratic senator, first senator at all to call for a ceasefire. And he's a senator from my state. I'm really proud of my state, my city of Chicago. Every single weekend, there's been massive marches in the streets, tens of thousands of people every weekend demanding a ceasefire, an end to the occupation, and one free Palestine. It's been amazing. We're seeing a massive support for, at the very least, a ceasefire right now. And as that protester said, while they were behind Antony Blinken, 60% of Americans support a ceasefire, and they're right. I mean, it's a majority. And if the Democrats cared about their electoral chances come 2024, which I don't think should be the primary focus, but I think that they should at least be thinking of it, then they would recognize that not only is it 80% of Democrats who support a ceasefire, it's a majority of even Republicans who support a ceasefire at this point. So they're to the right of the Republican voter base on this issue. And yet we see time and time again, the press secretary, speaking to the press and likening protesters for Palestinian liberation to Nazis at the Unite the Right rally, chanting, "The Jews will not replace us." She's said that, while speaking on behalf of the administration, that people calling for a ceasefire are reprehensible. That is the Biden administration's, argument right now. But the pressure is working. Just yesterday, and it's not enough, but just yesterday, Kamala Harris announced the organization of a task force on Islamophobia, on this country, which I want to say is not what the Muslim community is asking the Biden administration to do. They're asking for them not just to change their rhetoric, but to stop supporting a genocide. They don't just want a task force. They want them to actually do something materially meaningful, to stop supporting and stop endorsing, stop financially banking a genocide of the Palestinian people, to show that they actually give a singular damn about the issues near and dear to the Muslim American population, to the Muslim world. And they aren't doing that, but the pressure is there. We can't let off the gas because they are cracking.
Yeah, and now the call is for a humanitarian pause. There's going to be no pause in the weapons that will be sent to Israel. If there is a humanitarian pause to let in some aid trucks through the southern border. Again, the southern border between Gaza and Egypt has been opened. A few hundred Gazans have been allowed to leave. Also Americans, I believe a family from Boston who had been trapped for 25 days inside of Gaza was just allowed out. So this is huge, but you're right that they should be very concerned. You know, the latest Gallup poll shows Biden's approval rating is the worst among Democrats that it's been. So tumbling 11 points in the past 75%, the worst of his presidency from his own party. The drop has pushed his overall approval rating down 4 points to 37%, matching his personal low. That also is a dip with independents, and that is they've declined 4 points, 35% supporting with independents, and Republicans remain unchanged, 5%, which is no surprise. But independents, and these are people who can be to the right, to the left, sort of, you know, hovering above. I think that truly does matter. So as Ray said, the pressure might very well be working.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.